My name is Eddie Mensah. I'm the managing director of Right to Dream Ghana. So Right to Dream started in 1999. There was a man named Tom Vernon, who was a former scout for Manchester United. He moved to Ghana and he started the academy with a few young boys. And the vision was to create an academy where kids will get a well-rounded education, both in academics and in football, so that they can live up to their potential. So this is 25 years now in the making, and it's gone all the way from the small dusty pitch in Accra to what we have here in Old Accra. And their concept is very simple, that if you put academic education, football education, and character education together, you have a higher chance of producing players and students who can really live up to their full potential and perform to the highest level. And we are beginning to see the results of that work. Part of the idea at the very beginning is that, when you have an idea that doesn't look like it has a track record of success, it's hard for people to see it. It's hard for people to see that vision. But what we realize with our students is that they need to understand that the rejection is part of life. In any aspect of our life, the filmmakers will tell you, I submitted so many films before I got a yes. The writer will tell you, I submitted so many scripts before, and it's similar in football. There are so many players that will tell you, I went on trial for 8, 9, 10 different clubs before. So we think of the rejection as fuel to build you, right? When you get a rejection in that moment, that's actually the fuel that you use to kind of psych yourself up for the next one. And in fact, it's not that we actually now expect it. You expect the no to come as part of the challenge, as part of the process to get you ready. And that's part of the conversation with our students, that if it's very smooth, you should be careful because it's coming, it's life. There will be a bump in the road somewhere, and how do you use that to fuel yourself for the next challenge? So that we believe that excellence can be found anywhere. I want to repeat that. We believe that excellence can be found anywhere. So that means if it can be found anywhere, then we need to go everywhere. So what we do in our selection process, I think, is the key part that maybe separates us from other places. So instead of us waiting for the talent to come and find us, which means they have to overcome so many obstacles just to get to us, we go to them. So we scout across the country. We go to the smallest villages up in the north. We go to the big cities. Everywhere that we believe talent can be found, we go and we give those students an opportunity at a young age to showcase their talent. And then we select them and then we nurture it. So you've got the good seed, you got the good soil, but you have to now water the plant, right? And that's what we do here. We nurture them until they really come and blossom. I think, I'm going to use that same analogy that to do it, you have to do it carefully. Something that is done well has to be done carefully. So you've probably seen in the news, we are partnering with Egyptian investors, and so now we have an academy in Egypt, and every day we get a call from another country that says, how do you put it here? But what we have to do is to really be intentional and take it step by step. Right to Dream Ghana did not go from where it was to where it is now in 2 days. 25 years before we arrived here. So we are really constantly having conversations with all kinds of people from different places. So within the next 5-10 years, don't be surprised if another one pops up, maybe in Lagos, maybe in South Africa, maybe in Rwanda, you never know. But we are constantly having conversations. But the idea is that we have to do it slowly and carefully. There's so many lessons that we have learned in the last 25 years that we want to make sure that we put into place when we go to the next project. You see I'm smiling, right? So now I've been only with Right to Dream for 5 years, right? So I was probably not here. I was not here at the time when the work was really, really hard. But for my colleagues who were here at the very beginning, when you are still trying to get people to buy into this concept, that you can do education, you can do football, you can do character, unless you have a proof of the concept, it's very hard for people to see the vision. And so what happened last year in the World Cup was the moment of huge pride and joy for us. I mean, we watched the games here with all the students in the dining hall. If you go online, you see videos of us jumping up and down when Kudus scored. When Damsgaard scored a free kick against England, what a moment. It's a moment of pride because it's beginning to show people what we've been trying to say. that football can be done differently. And it's also not just for the people outside, but for our kids, for the younger ones to see and say, one day, me too, I can make it there. And it really kind of encourages them. I am so glad that you asked that question. Like, I am really, really happy you asked that question, because I think the biggest stereotype about Right to Dream, when you don't know it well, is that we only produce Kudus and Kamal and Damsgaard. But we are really, really proud of the fact that because we have such a strong academic program, our students can go and play in the US. We have so many students across high schools, universities, Major League Football. Some of them are even out of football and working for companies that are big and famous. And that's a huge source of pride for us. When you said that, when I was growing up, I didn't have a choice. I wanted to be a footballer, but my mother said the same thing. You are going to school, and that's it. And I wish something like this existed then, where I could do both, right? And then my path would be, I think it would have been a lot more fun for me. And when I see these kids who are able to combine the academics and the football and go and play in high school and play for universities, I'm a little jealous, to be fair. But I think it's a really important part of what we do here, is that the kids understand that we're doing a holistic program. So if you go to play professional football in Europe, we are very proud of you. If you go to play in high school or university and take that pathway too, we are very, very proud of you. And it's the seed that we saw at the very beginning that tells you that you can be more than a footballer. Well, again, it comes from my first statement about how we believe excellence can be found anywhere. I think we make a lot of mistakes in narrowing our view of children, he's a footballer, that's all he can do. And when we do the testing for the kids to come in, we do all kinds of academic testing, social testing. There are artists who can draw amazing things. There are kids who are into robotics, who are into all kinds of different things, aside from being amazing footballers. So why not give them that opportunity from the very beginning? We go and we win robotics competitions. And we are going, they're wearing their football uniforms, and then they got the students from all these other, top schools. And we beat them, and they are surprised. How is a football academy coming in to beat a traditional school in robotics? Because I think the mindset that we create for the students here is really that if you have a talent, we want to support that. So we design a curriculum that's wide-ranging, that gives students the option. You get your art, you get your music, you're still doing the traditional maths and English and science, but we open up their brains a little bit. The things that, again, I joke about, the things that I wish I had when I was younger, we open up the possibilities for them. And then we're just amazed at what comes out. The kid that you think, he's just one way, and then you give him an option to be in a play, and you see a whole different side of him. The kid that you think, he's only interested in this thing, you give him an option, and then you see it. It goes back to that same thing, that excellence can be found anywhere. We think everybody has a right to dream, but sometimes you have to see it, right, to be able to actually think that you can become it. And that's what the program is designed to do here. So part of our character program is we have something called a speaker series. And so we invite our graduates to come back, and we're talking about all range of them, not just the ones who are on TV, but some of the ones who are doing things that are not as visible, right? The one who's a scientist, or the one who works for a fashion design company, or even some of our ex-national team footballers that are supporting Right to Dream. So we bring them and we do exactly what you're saying. They give a nice talk, everybody listens to them. But then for me, the part I enjoy is when the talk is over and 5-6 students go to him and say, how did you do it? What was it like when that team turned you down? What was it like when you were on the bench? Because some of them, they've never been on the bench, right? They are stars, right? And they're like, when I get there, I'll be like this. And then, somebody who has been there can tell you all the different challenges. And for me, it's like, it's a proud moment that we have 25 years of history now. And so now we have people that we can bring back for these students to see the example of what they need to be. You hit on something really important, the idea of humility, which is a huge part of our culture, right? But we have to then look at what is it about that characteristic that's holding us back, right? You can still be respectful to an adult, but be able to ask a question. And so the way we instruct If you go into the classrooms today, there are no actual classes. But the way the teachers interact with the students is that every teacher will tell you that I want to hear from my students as much as I share with them, as opposed to the traditional classroom where you're supposed to sit quietly, they feed you information, you take it, you go and study and come in, right? We want our students to question, to respond, to engage, and so that builds their confidence, right? And the age of technology is at such a place that education has to evolve. And like this is a soapbox I stand on a lot. We have to evolve past just education being feeding information. These days they can Google everything. So now it is, how do I analyze the information? How do I synthesize? How do I ask critical questions? And if you start doing that with them at 10 years, by the time they get to 16, they've built the habit. They can still be respectful, and none of them will be rude to you, right? But there's a confidence that allows them to engage without sort of the demure, let me stay in my corner. That I think, frankly, it holds us back in the international world, because people take advantage of that, right? I think as Africans, because we have this stereotype, and I'm generalizing, of being humble, sometimes we get stepped on. We don't really stand up to it's funny that you ask, because I don't know if you put this in the interview. I think that's a quality that Nigerians have more than Ghanaians. So we don't charge anything for our students here. We don't charge 1 cedi, 1 kobo, we don't charge anything. And in fact, sometimes we really have to be careful because there are people online that are using our name to defraud people. And the reason for that is twofold. One is that we don't want the charge to be the barrier for talent. If somebody's talented, we don't want the money to be the thing that stops them. So that's number one. Number two is, you have two options when you're trying to do this kind of work, right? You can do what I call high numbers, low impact. Or you can do what we call low numbers, high impact. And in the football world, we know it's a pyramid. So we're trying to go for quality. If you go for quality, the numbers are limited. And so even though we could expand the facility and have 500, we don't think we want to do that. In order to do it well and do it properly well and produce the kind of quality, we have to limit the quantities. And so that's the way we do it.